We do not have a quorum at this time, but the next board member is en route, and he should be here at 1:30, in which time we will have a quorum. But we are looking to proceed an unofficial meeting that does not require board action. And so therefore, we will start this session, or whatever we call it, without it being called a meeting, with PIC comments and maybe public comments, so that we can move along with the schedule. So is all the board members in attendance okay with that?
Yes.
Jasmine? Okay. So we'll proceed with PIC comments. And then if we don't have a quorum at that time, we'll go to public comments. And then the board member and the quorum should be to start the official meeting.
Closed captioning is provided for viewer convenience. However, the accuracy of machine-generated captions may vary based on audio quality and speaker cadence. The Board of Correction does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the captions. To ensure the safety and protection of individuals using the people in custody comment line, names and inmate numbers have been withheld.
Yes, hello, my name is my booking case number in West Facility. I have been waiting for a post-op to be seen for an operation that I've had over almost a month ago. I was supposed to be seen 2 weeks ago. Well, they told me 2 weeks after. They told me I was supposed to be seen last week, in which it didn't occur. And also today they called me down stating that I was supposed to go to be seen, and they told me it was canceled due to transportation purposes for whatever reason. They said my appointment was at 11 o'clock. I was in intake waiting. They told me they rescheduled my appointment because I guess I wasn't going to make it. I would like to be seen. I don't know what's going on with the Department of Corrections, but I know I need to be seen to make sure my operation, I had umbilical hernia repair as well as inguinal hernia repair, and I was supposed to be seen by the doctor 2 weeks ago, as per request by the physician, by the surgeon. And it's been a month. I had my surgery done on last month, the 12th.
Okay. Hello, yes, my name is. I'm currently enrolled in Singer. My booking case number. I'm housed in Building 7. I'm calling because I have been asking to be moved out of this housing unit, Building 7, that I'm in. I'm very, very uncomfortable here. And I was told by a dep that I was allowed to be moved, but then she was told that I have a separation order with someone. So I'm trying to find out, what do I possibly have a separation order from with anyone? Because I'm asking them and they are refusing to even give me a reason why or how a separation order was put on. I never had a PREA with anybody. I never had a violent altercation with anybody to where it warranted a separation order. So I'm trying to figure out what could possibly a separation order be put on me for. And please, if you could help me, I would like to be moved. Thank you.
The caller has hung up.
Hello, my name is booking case number. Only about the issue I'm having with having my property initially from intake mail back home. I'm in now in the West Facility, and I had it requested a few times, about 3 times. Initially, I didn't have enough money on my account, but other times I requested I did, and I'm still having the issue with
getting my property mailed back to my dwelling place, and I was wondering how do I resolve this issue. I spoke to the social services, submitted the form, spoke to the grievance of staff, and I'm still having a problem dealing with this issue. Just trying to see how I get it resolved. Thank you.
The caller has hung up.
Yes, hi. My name is Otis Bantam Correctional Center, OBCC, Otis Bantam Correctional Center. My booking and case number. I'm being refused a tablet. For months, I've been being refused a tablet. I offered to purchase one of my own money, or they won't let me order one. So I really need a tablet so I can make phone calls, commissary, and do other things. I'm also being refused 3 medications. One is the doctor wrote me a prescription for weight loss medicine, which was an injection to lose weight called Zebulon. I'm being refused that. I'm being refused my Miralax for constipation, and I'm being refused my omeprazole for heartburn and gastritis. And I'm constantly being refused my hypertension, high blood pressure medicine because DOC is trying to kill me. And please, I really need a tablet.
The caller has hung up.
Yes, how you doing? My name is from Rikers Island. My booking case number is, and I'm complaining about what happened on the search that happened on the 31st at 2 a.m. And it was this officer. I feel like he racist against me, and he targeted me and stuff. Because on the search, it was an officer that was right there searching my bed with the captain. And after they somehow was back to my bed and keep searching around my bed, they took a lot of my uniform, throw it on the floor, talk about I have a lot of them, that they the one that give me those uniform, one. And second, in the mix of doing all that, they end up mixing my prayer rug, because I'm mostly mixing my prayer rug, part of it. They mess up my legal work. Then they rip 4 pages of my notebook. And if they look at it on camera, they will see them. Even the captain was going to my notebook, and they end up ripping 4 pages, even though I still got those 4 pages right here in my hand. But they ripped my notebook. Then they end up taking my tablets, saying that I have another tablet, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I might have someone else's tablet to watch a movie or something like that. And they said that my tablet was tapped, and that was not true. My tablet wasn't tapped. My tablet was working perfectly. I just watched a movie an hour before the search, So I feel like he just violated me, throwing coffee all around my bed. They took my notebook, was reading it, going through it, and ripped 4 pages of my notebook that I'm holding it right now, and all that stuff is on camera, clear, And now I'm trying to tell them to give me back my tablet, and they're telling me that my tablet was tapped, and that's a lie. And all them know it. I got witnesses and everything. Thanks so much.
See comment? So at this time, we can take a brief break if there's any responses to the PIC comments. But I should say that to thank all who left public comments on the dedicated lines for people in custody. Redacted comments have been shared with the department. All comments associated with the facility have been assigned to the BOC facility monitor and have either been resolved or being addressed. And I'd say we'll take a few minutes break because what happened is Jude Tarson is not too far away, and we may be able to start an official meeting shortly. That was quite good. Good afternoon. We have a quorum of members present this afternoon, and the New York City Board of Correction, November 13th, 2025 meeting is now in session. I'd like to thank Board Member Jude Toussaint for arriving to the meeting. I just want to state for the record that Board of Correction board members, do this pretty much in a labor of love. It's not a paid job or anything of that nature. And I know the personal circumstances that Board Member Jude has to deal with, and it's considerable at this time, in his family's life. And so I appreciate you for making that extra effort and come on through.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Our first order of business is a vote on the agenda for today's board meeting, which board members have received. Will a board member move for a vote to approve the November 13th, 2025 meeting agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does any member have edits or comments on the agenda? There being none, all in favor of approving the November 13th, 25 agenda, say aye.
Aye.
No objections, it is approved. Our second order of business is a vote on the draft minutes for the October 14th, 2025 board meeting, which board members have received. Will a board member move for a vote to approve the October 14th, 2025 board meeting minutes?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Does any member have edits or comments on the minutes? All in favor of approving the October 14th, 2025 board meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no objection, they are approved and duly ratified. At this point, we already heard public comments prior to the meeting, and I'd ask that we ensure that those public comments that are redacted be included into the record. And we'll now have our executive director, Jasmine.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We share our deepest condolences with the families of department staff who have passed since the board's October meeting. The staff who have passed are Facility Maintenance Repair Division plumber Sinanan Haraprasad, retired Captain Renee Cecily Fleetwood, retired Officer Leslie A. Williams, retired Captain Alan Eppel, and retired Captain Leon Taylor. Regarding census data, as of November 12, 2025, there were approximately 7,041 individuals in department custody, broken down by facility. In Bellevue Hospital Prison Ward, 54 individuals, Elmhurst Hospital Prison Ward, 10 individuals, EMTC, 1,448, GRVC, 903, NIC, 302, OBCC, 1,587, RESH ESH, 129, RESH non-ESH, 305, RMSC, 463, RNDC, 1,102, West Facility, 733. Regarding reports, on November 5th, 2025, the board released a report detailing findings and recommendations concerning the deaths of Ramel Powell, Terrence Moore, Ariel Quidone, Sonia Reyes, and Deshaun Jenkins. The board's report highlights 8 key findings and makes 9 recommendations to DOC and CHS regarding their policies and practices. DOC's and CHS's responses are appended to the report. and I'll briefly share some of the key recommendations we've reiterated to the department in our latest report, recommendations that have also been made in past reports. These continue to focus on improving supervision, safety, and accountability in the jails. First, we're recommending that DOC reinforce and retrain staff on the basics, staying on post, conducting required tours, and accurately completing logbooks. These are essential to maintaining safety and order. Second, regarding the Video Monitoring Unit, or VMU, this unit is responsible for remotely monitoring all facility activity in real time, identifying security concerns, and alerting staff so action can be taken to prevent incidents. VMU can be a critical tool for identifying poor touring practices, unsecured cell doors, and other risks to safety. We've again recommended that DOC increase staffing in VMU to expand this additional layer of supervision and support facility supervisors in ensuring tours are conducted according to policy. Third, we've suggested strengthening DOC's Tour 1 policy by auditing the time between scans to make sure officers are completing thorough visual checks and verifying people's well-being. We've also encouraged DOC to move toward a digital logbook system. Electronic records are clearer and easier to audit than paper logs. Until that happens, supervisors should be cross-checking entries with video footage and tour data. Finally, we've reiterated the need to keep cell windows unobstructed and to respond quickly to any signs of contraband or drug use with appropriate searches and testing. And for the full list of findings and recommendations, you can view the report on BOC's website and LinkedIn page. Finally, we're pleased to announce a new direct hotline for people in custody to contact the board regarding appeals. The hotline is also for people in custody's loved ones and visitors who have submitted a visit appeal. We know it can be frustrating when appeals feel unheard, so we encourage people to call the board's appeal hotline to check the status of an appeal or learn how to submit an appeal concerning the board's minimum standards. The phone number is 212-266-4380. Board staff will work with the department to ensure the hotline is widely advertised and accessible across all facilities. And that concludes my update.
Thank you, Jasmine. I'll turn it over to Board Member Cozier, Chair of the Minimum Standards Review Committee, for a committee update at this time.
Thank you and good afternoon. Last week, members of the Minimum Standards Review Committee and the board toured Rikers Island to observe the attorney visit process as part of our ongoing review of access to counsel standards. We visited several locations, including the Perry Building, OBCC, RMSC, and RESH entrances, and the counsel visit rooms in each of those facilities, and received an overview of how attorney visits are scheduled and conducted. During our visit, committee members spoke directly with facility staff present to gather firsthand perspectives on the efficiency and challenges of the current system. While staff exhibited professionalism and responsiveness, our review identified multiple aspects of the current attorney visit process that warrant improvement. The video teleconference areas appeared well-run, with staff maintaining detailed records of scheduled visits, cancellations, and outcomes. However, we observe inefficiencies with the in-person visit process, particularly at RESH and RMSC. Attorneys must first take a route bus from the Perry Building to Rosie, and then wait for a shuttle, which runs without a fixed schedule, to reach RESH. At Rosie, there is only one room for in-person attorney visits. Since there are no time limits for visits, attorneys may face long waits if multiple attorneys are scheduled at the same time, or really the same day. We are particularly concerned about the potential for significant delays in attorney visits and the impact this has on the access to legal representation. While the system has the capacity to track attorney visits, times, and delays, current reporting does not consistently capture the information needed to determine how often attorney visits are delayed beyond 45 minutes. The committee will continue reviewing these observations and will present recommendations to the full board to improve documentation, accountability, and timely access to counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Judge Crucier. I did do that tour as well, and I can say that there's much more work to be done to review this process, and I look forward to seeing that work. DOC updates. We will now hear updates from the department on the agenda items.
I'll just give a brief summary. For the death report recommendations agenda item, the department should brief the board on its progress implementing recommendations that have been repeatedly issued in prior death review reports. The update should highlight actions taken, initiatives underway, and how progress is being tracked. This discussion will help promote transparency and collaboration as we work to improve safety and well-being in the city's jails. For the sick call agenda item, the department should update the board on compliance with the minimum standards governing access to sick call services. As a reminder, sick call must be available at least 5 days per week within 24 hours of a request or at the next regularly scheduled sick call. The department is also required to maintain daily records of sick call requests, clinic arrivals, and individuals seen by health staff. The briefing should include information on how DOC is currently tracking this data and any planned improvements to ensure full compliance and transparency. And finally, for the packages agenda item, the department should discuss its current practices for handling impermissible packages sent to people in custody, as well as the status of compliance with the board's standard requiring acceptance of packages during visiting hours.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Joseph Caputo, and I currently serve as the Acting Assistant Chief for the Criminal Justice Bureau and also Facility Operations. First, allow me to share on behalf of the department our heartfelt condolences to the families who lost loved ones during their time in custody. The loss of a loved one is tragic, and our thoughts are with them. Now I'm going to turn to the various initiatives that the department has undertaken over the past year to improve the safety and the well-being of those that live and work in our facilities. As the board is aware, all deaths that occur in DOC custody are subject to investigation by external, independent oversights and entities, including the Department of Investigations, New York State Attorney General's Office. Although we can't speak with specific circumstances, updates or potential procedural changes regarding incidents that occur under investigation, we can share what the department continues to do to improve operations. Under Commissioner McGinley-Liddy's leadership, the department has undertaken a proactive approach to correctional management that prioritizes visibility, accountability, communication at every level. Beginning in 2024, the commissioner instituted a mandatory touring schedule for all uniformed and non-uniformed leadership. This initiative reinforces the principle that effective leadership begins with knowing what's happening on the ground within the facilities. Through this engagement with staff and people in custody, and by addressing challenges in real time, these tours serve as an active tool for improving safety, ensuring compliance with policies, and maintaining humane conditions for the people in custody. The commissioner also established focus groups. These focus groups were targeted to uniform, non-uniform, and also people in custody. The focus groups were held across multiple facilities and the insights gathered directly inform policy decisions and operational strategies. Together, these initiatives form the foundation of a culture of accountability, transparency, and communication, one that is critical to maintaining safe and secure environments within our facilities. The department continues to implement several key board recommendations focused on improving staff touring, enhancing emergency medical training. Touring is an essential correctional practice, and all uniformed staff are trained on touring and supervision. This starts right in the academy when they recruit correctional officers. Newly promoted captains, assistant deputy wardens are provided with training to reinforce these practices and provide oversight and mentoring to those that they supervise. These practices are reinforced at roll calls, departmental teletypes, and active supervision within all housing areas. The department continues to seek innovative ways to reinforce appropriate, consistent touring. In 2023, we launched the Tour One process. The Tour One process and policies utilize technology to monitor housing area tours, but they are not a replacement for guidance and oversight from a supervisor. Supervisors are required to tour the housing areas regularly and ensure staff complete their required rounds. Supervisors also use the Tour Ones as well. Additionally, DOC executive leaderships meet with the wardens frequently to review violence indicators, other facility level data, including the rounding data. In addition to the tour wands and regular supervision, officers are consistently reminded of their touring responsibilities through department-wide teletypes and, again, roll call initiatives. Also, in addition, over the last year, the department has enhanced its approach to emergency medical training. We recognize that our staff are the greatest resource. They show up every day to provide care for a vulnerable population and are on the vanguard of every reform that we undertake. The department is committed to ensuring that staff receive the resources that they need, not just to perform their duties, but to become leaders, and training is essential to that endeavor. This is why all correctional officers receive cardiopulmonary resuscitation, automated external defibrillator, and first aid training during their recruit training. These trainings are also taught as a refresher course in their in-service block training. In 2023, the Academy expanded the curriculum to include hands-on ligature drills. In addition, this year, Training and Development Division created a delivered and specialized training titled Preventing and Responding to Deaths and Medical Emergencies for the newly promoted Assistant Deputy Wardens. This training focuses on timely access to care and effective response. The department has also developed a comprehensive medical emergency curriculum, which is currently under review. In addition, since 2022, all uniformed staff members has been trained in the use of Narcan to ensure immediate and effective response to potential opioid overdoses. We continue to explore how to expand the use of Narcan within our facilities. We also have them in Transportation Division in our courts as well. Additionally, in an effort to prevent contraband from entering our jails, DOC has enhanced mail operations by procuring improved drug screening technology tools and dedicating more personnel and resources to the mail screening process. A recommendation that remains in progress is the digitizing of facility logbooks. As previously stated at board meetings, the department is laser focused on improving operations and reducing the reliance on paper through various modernization projects, including the launch of the electronic pilot. The pilot began last month in one unit in the Otis Bantam Correctional Center and represents a significant step forward towards modernization of our facilities. Several board staff were recently provided with a demonstration and granted access to the electronic logbook system. In the coming weeks, the department will assess outcomes and look at the potential for expansion, and we'll keep the board updated as we progress. Finally, there are some recommendations that the department continues to evaluate. While the video monitoring unit provides an additional layer of supervision beyond the policies that I mentioned earlier, the department continues to prioritize having officers on the ground who can respond to emergencies and support the uniformed staff in the areas. VMU is not intended to provide consistent supervision of all housing areas at all times. We continue aggressive recruitment efforts to fill shortfalls in staffing so that we can maintain appropriate levels of supervision. When assessing staffing levels and redeployments at the beginning of each tour, we prioritize staffing critical posts to ensure that they are appropriately covered. Taken together, the progress that we've made reflects a thoughtful, deliberate, and sustained effort to create a safer environment for the people in custody and for our staff as well. There is always more work to do, and we continue to explore innovative practices that will continue to contribute to safer, more humane jails. We recognize that the board has issued many recommendations over the years, and what will be difficult to cover each one in detail today, I'm focused on highlighting several key recommendations and welcome any additional questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Any questions from board members?
I'm sorry, the department has mentioned having internal controls in place to ensure compliance, such as regular audits and assessments. How does the department track instances of non-compliance with the touring procedures?
All right, so I delved into this the last time when I presented. If you're referring to the tour wands itself or just in general as far as touring
Not the
practices?
tour wands.
All right, so in touring in general, so remember the tour wands are only utilized in cell areas. They're not utilized in dormitory areas. So the regular process to ensure compliance with touring is supervisors have to be present, supervisors have to tour. Supervisors are supposed to tour a minimum of 3 times per shift, per an 8-hour tour. And they're required to look at the logbook entries made by the correction officers. They're making unannounced visits. They're not a planned event. So they can see if an officer is alert, if an officer is on post, if an officer is touring. You know, as a supervisor, it's not just at the level of captain, it's at the level of assistant deputy warden, deputy wardens. Me as an assistant chief, I'm in the facilities every day touring as well. When you walk into a unit, you can see if things are being addressed the second you come in. If you're bombarded with questions and concerns and problems, you know that there's some challenge with the level of supervision in that area. So that's how we track it. We track it by having supervisory presence, reviewing the logbook entries, and ensuring that things are being conducted in these areas. Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you use video or assessment of practice?
So the video monitoring unit, which I know the board is heavy on recommending, is one of the tools that we use, yes. Now, that unit is not able to watch every single housing area. So what we do is we use a data-based approach. So if we have areas that are experiencing challenges or higher levels of incidents, we'll focus on those units more than on others and make sure that that area is getting real-time alerts to things that are going on.
Do you have like an observation instrument to look at the practice? I mean, how you guys do it?
So as far as VMU is concerned, they have, you know, massive screens with housing areas up in real time being monitored live.
But when you want to target practice from correctional officers, do you do that? You said in a sampling way, you look at certain units. How often do you look at them? How do you look at them?
So as far as the video monitoring unit is concerned, yes, the approach is data-based or initiative-based. So, you know, there'll be instructions given to that unit to focus not just on those, but just pay, you know, extra attention to those units, yes. And then within the facilities, it's also data-based and approach based on incident.
Has there been an exercise to increase the capacity of VMUs?
So right now, I'm not going to say that we're in a critical stage with staff, but we have a challenge with our staffing, right? So our focus is on staffing our units and providing services to the people in custody. So, you know, the video monitoring unit, they can call to a housing area and give information on something they see, but if there's nobody on that post touring, they're not calling anybody. So you can't have good touring practices if you don't have somebody touring. So, you know, we're looking to enhance that unit as our ability comes.
Thank you. Board Member Pitts, did you have a question?
My question has already been answered, but I do have something to ask. You may mention the supervisors also come into the areas to tour, and they are to ensure that the officers did a tour if there's a B officer on post. How do we make sure that the captains and the ADWs tour? Is there any mechanism in place to ensure that that happens?
Yes,
If there is, but the tour doesn't happen, what are some of the if the supervisors do not ensure that a tour has taken place, what would be the reasons that might happen?
All right, Board Member Pitts, thank you for the question. There's a lot of parts to your question, so if I don't answer it, I apologize, and just let me know what you want me to focus back on. So captains, that's our first line level of supervision besides for the correction officer. They also utilize the tour wands. So we can track to see if they're touring based upon how many entries that they have. Also, they're required to enter into the logbook, so we can check that. But that's more of a physical go to the area to look at the logbook. So they utilize tour wands as well. ADWs do not utilize tour wands, but depending upon the facility, like when I was a warden, I would have the ADWs report out on the tours that they conducted. They're not required to tour every single housing area, but they make spot checks. There's certain areas that, require a higher level of supervision, like mental observation unit or protective custody that you want them to tour on each tour. But there's different things that could prevent that from occurring based upon level of incidents during the day, or different things that might take place within the facility. So I hope that answered your question.
It does answer my question, and I think that it is important for the department to share the various reasons why certain things cannot happen at times.
I agree wholeheartedly. So I think that the department is very focused on trying to meet all the initiatives that the board puts forth. And I think that, it's almost to a fault that we're trying to do everything and we have to look at what our staffing levels are and realize what we can focus on and what we need to reassess. But we're trying to meet all the different requests and provide everything to the people in custody.
But it's important to explain why when you cannot in detail.
I agree.
That being Jude?
Yeah. just
Go ahead.
quickly. Thank you. In regards to staffing, in my travels, I'm often met with potential candidates, potential recruits, but there's a high level of trepidation, right? So what would be something influential that you would state to those potential candidates that would assuage some of those, apprehensions?
Listen, anytime I'm speaking about this particular career to anybody that's interested in it, I say that it's a great job. It's a lot of work. You're going to be able to provide for your family, but there's going to be times that you will be away from your family. Me, I had a family member that was on this job for 37 years. I chose to follow in that path. But I think that you have to be honest to the people that are looking to take this job, because we don't want to invest in them and all this time and then they leave. So that's the best approach. But just to let them understand that it's a very fulfilling career. I've been here for 22 years and I still enjoy coming to work, and I still feel like I have many good years ahead of me to do that. And I think that if it's the right people delivering that message, I think that it can let them ease some of that fear that they have. Because unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that comes out is not positive news, and they don't get the stories of what really goes on, in a day of the life of somebody that works in Rikers.
Thank you.
So, Acting Assistant Commissioner Computer, what I'd like to ask is if you and your team can set a meeting, perhaps with myself and the BOC monitoring staff, to look at touring and your internal audits on how you go about monitoring touring. So I really like to sit down to get a better sense of your touring practices.
Sir.
If there's no other questions, I think we're going on to the next item at this point. And that's
Thank
the
you.
sick call. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good
How are we
afternoon.
doing, folks? Good afternoon, Chair Sampson, members of the board. My name is James Saunders. I serve as the Deputy Commissioner of Health Affairs, Compliance, and Quality. So I'm here to provide an update on the department's efforts to modernize the clinic scheduling and sick call process in collaboration with our partners at Correctional Health Service. The department remains firmly committed to ensuring that persons in custody can obtain timely and reliable access to healthcare services. Currently, clinic production, including sick call requests, continue to be managed in accordance with the department's established policies and procedures. As we've shared previously with the board, DOC and CHS are modernizing these processes through the development of a new clinic production dashboard. We appreciate the board's steadfast support with this new initiative. So the new platform represents an important step forward in how the department tracks and manages the universe of clinic production data, including scheduled appointments, unscheduled call downs, and sick call requests. The platform moves us away from an archaic and inefficient paper-based process. By centralizing this information in one streamlined system, the dashboard will enhance operational efficiency, improve data accuracy, and strengthen overall accountability. So the dashboard is currently in its final stage of development and is scheduled for pilot launch at the North Infirmary Command before the end of this month. To date, 97% of NIC staff have been trained on the use of the dashboard, positioning the department to meet our commitment to have the platform operationalized by the end of the year. In preparation for the pilot, DOC provided a briefing and full demonstration for members of the board and board staff. We're also developing a comprehensive communication plan, and we'll be updating policies, including directives and operation orders, as necessary to support implementation. During the pilot phase, we will gather feedback from staff, assess system performance, and identify opportunities for operational improvements. This feedback will inform refinements ahead of anticipated expansion, ensuring that the final product effectively supports clinic production and resource allocation. We continue to collaborate closely with our partners at CHS as we move through implementation. Together, we're encouraged by the progress made and remain focused on launching a system that will strengthen coordination between the agencies and enhance the department's ability to track clinic production accurately and efficiently. So the department looks forward to entering the new year with a modernized clinic production platform that reflects not only the board's commitment, but also the Department of Corrections' commitment to transparency, accountability, and operational improvement. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions the board may have.
Any questions, board members? Well, I can say thank you for the continued effort, and especially the objective to meet the end of year, having something up and running. I apologize I wasn't able to be at that session, but I understand there may be some minor questions still outstanding, but I applaud the work that's been moving forward in this area. So that I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We will now hear updates from Correctional Health Services. Oh, no, 1 second. Finally, there's one more area for department, and that is packages agenda item. The department should discuss its current practices on handling impermissible packages sent to people in custody, as well as the status of compliance with the board standard requiring acceptance of packages during visiting hours.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name's Jim Walsh. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Security and Facility Operations. I'm here to provide the board with information regarding DOC's process for screening and handling packages sent to individuals in the department's care. All packages sent to people in custody are currently received in the mail screening and distribution unit, or MSDU, where they are opened and inspected for contraband and other impermissible items in accordance with department policy. When an impermissible item is identified, staff complete a form that states such, which is then delivered to the person in custody. On this form, the individual indicates how they would dispose of the form, return to the sender at their own expense, donate, or destroy. Before any item is disposed of, the person in custody signs a form verifying their decision and ensuring that we have a record of their choice. The mail screening and distribution unit maintains an electronic record tracking all the impermissible items and their final disposition. The electronic record includes information such as the date the item was received, the person in custody's information, the chosen disposition method, a description of the item. MSDU utilizes the electronic record to track when a form has been sent to the facility so that they can follow up to inquire about the status of the form if they don't receive it back within 30 days. Currently, packages are accepted only through the mail screening and distribution unit, and the department does not accept items personally delivered to a facility during visiting hours. It's my understanding that this policy came into play during COVID. We thank the board for bringing it to our attention the need to clarify messaging to align with the BOC minimum standards. In response, the department will be developing an operations plan to allow for packages to be accepted in person at a designated location during visiting hours. We will prioritize operationalizing this new process before the end of the calendar year. The department remains committed to balancing security and safety with the needs of those in custody and their loved ones. We appreciate the board's continued engagement on this issue and will keep you updated as this initiative moves forward.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now ask that hear updates from Correctional Health Services on the agenda items. Correctional Health Services and briefings, updates and discussions, overview on CHS Quality Assurance Program.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Jessica LaBoy, Chief Admin and Compliance Officer for Correctional Health Services. Today, I will be giving a presentation on CHS's Quality Assurance Program. So as you know, CHS became part of New York City Health and Hospitals about 10 years ago. So before I get into CHS, I wanted to give you an overview of New York City Health and Hospitals Quality Assurance Program, structure for which we are governed by. So New York City Health and Hospitals Quality Assurance Performance Improvement Plan includes measurable goals, evaluates the effectiveness of the prior year's quality goals, and describes quality and performance improvement. The QAPI plan aligns with New York City Health and Hospitals' mission, vision, strategic pillars, and values, which, of course, as part of being of H&H, we, of course, embrace. The mission is to deliver high-quality health services with compassion, dignity, and respect to all without exception. The vision is to be a fully integrated health system that takes care of all New Yorkers, no exceptions. The values include the ICARE standards for all staff. These values are integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence. The New York City Health and Hospitals has developed 5 strategic pillars for all facilities and services to persevere toward common goals and efforts that align with the organizational strategy. The 5 strategic pillars are quality and outcomes, care experience, financial sustainability, access to care, and culture of safety. So okay, it is up there. So as you can see from the QAPI structure that is on the presentation, there are several layers of accountability above ground level departmental staff. with the structure funneling up to the QAPI board, who follows up with the H&H Board of Directors. Next slide, please. So the CHS QAPI structure. Each individual CHS QIC, which is the Quality Improvement Committees, reports directly to the QRC chair, and the QRC chair reports to the H&H QA committee of the board, who reports to the H&H Board of Directors. So the CHS QAPI is a division-wide, data-driven, interdisciplinary quality assessment and performance improvement plan that involves all departments and services. The program consists of 3 core components: quality improvement committees, quality assurance performance improvement indicators, metrics, and performance improvement projects. The integration of these 3 systems of quality serves as the foundation for the comprehensive patient-centered quality management. The service-specific quality improvement committees, our QICs, serve as the foundation of CHS's QAPI structure. Each QIC is responsible for monitoring its core performance indicators and reports to the CHS Quality Review Committee. Each QIC determines and maintains the following: committee responsibilities and quality improvement goals, membership and participation, frequency of the meetings and agenda items, performance indicators, performance improvement projects, and record-keeping responsibilities. So the Quality Review Committee, chaired by SVP of CHS, Patsy Yang, meets monthly to review major findings, recommendations, and concerns for continuous enhancements and optimization of the individual quality improvement committees. The CHS QICs are Administration, Forensic Psychiatry Evaluation Service, Medicine, Mental Health, Nursing, Operations, Patient Relations, Pharmacy and Therapeutics, Reentry and Transitional Services, and Finance and Shared Services. So the Quality Assurance Improvement Indicator, which are our metrics, focuses on the monitoring of major clinical areas of patient care delivery. Facility-specific performance indicator data is communicated consistently to line staff and depending on the type of indicator and service. Department service leadership and their QICs report quality indicator performance to the Quality Review Committee. CHS leadership reviews system-wide performance improvement data and interventions to address areas in need of improvement and new and ongoing concerns, and to coordinate quality efforts with our New York City Health and Hospitals facilities or our outside partners. Sorry. Let me go to the next. The Performance Improvement Project, which are our PIPs, system focuses on promoting performance improvement projects. A PIP is a team process to develop and implement system-wide interventions to improve patient care. Our PIP support CHS strategic improvement goals and aligns with New York City Health and Hospitals model for system-wide performance improvement. Thank you for your time, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Chief LeBoyd.
Yes.
Any question, board members?
Thank you for your presentation. That was very helpful. Can you talk about the practice of standards, particularly around reentry? I saw that there's a reentry committee. I mean, what are you looking for in terms of data for good practices?
So that was some of the additional information that you guys requested, and we are working on that to provide that to you separately, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do you have a timeline for that response?
I will say we really don't at this time, but we're working on it, and we'll get back to you really soon.
Perhaps by our next board meeting, because I think there was a couple of outstanding questions. So
that's fine. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Board member Franco?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Now we'll go to the formal evaluation of quality, effectiveness, and appropriateness of health services provided by PACs in New York City jails, or was that covered in the presentation? It was rolled, okay. Just go ahead. Just clarify, because I didn't.
So I'll just clarify what CHS just said, that they covered the second portion of what was on the agenda in the briefing that we just heard, and they are going to follow up with us on additional information that the board requested.
And before we move forward on public comments, I'd just like to really recognize the department and CHS. Just the other day, I toured the Bellevue facility, the new facility on the second floor. And I can sense that a tremendous amount of work, quality work went into this project. I see very minor aspects other than staffing being some of the issues to open that facility up. But I'd really like to congratulate you ahead of schedule. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but for such a great job on such a wonderful facility. I was telling Board Member Pitts earlier, I wish he would tour that because I know Board Member Pitts, would have appreciated the work that was done. So we'll now go to public comment. We'll now hear comments from the public. Jasmine will call the names of those who signed up to speak.
First, Michael Klinger, followed by Natalie Fiorenzo.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is the first, today's hearing is the first to follow the release of the board's first report and recommendations on 2025 deaths in custody. It's also the final scheduled meeting of the year and the last one before the holidays, when the people that we represent look forward to holiday packages, reminding them of their value and importance to their families and their communities. Preparing for today's hearing, we saw a link between the report on deaths and the department's handling of packages, which is also on today's agenda. The board's report, highlighting instances of officers failing to make required rounds, failing to stay on post, falsifying records, conveys a general disregard for department policies and procedures. We see something similar in the story of one person's experience with package delivery. This person likes to read. While they've been in custody, and like millions of people on the outside, they've become hooked on the Harry Potter series. They requested that their defense team send book 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and they loved it. And they asked for book 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and they loved that one too. Book 3, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the department deemed to be an impermissible item. Staff instructed the person who would receive this package to sign a form without explanation and without an opportunity to understand the form. Directive 4002R-C covers the handling of packages, including so-called non-permissible items. Notwithstanding this directive, it isn't clear whether this individual was actually given a copy of Form 420A on the removal of non-permissible items. This is the department's mechanism for explaining what was removed and why it was removed, and it's meant to provide a procedure to appeal that decision. Without it, people have no opportunity to appeal or to decide whether the item will be returned to the sender, donated to an outside charitable organization, or destroyed, all options left to them under the rule. The department failed to follow its own policy here, the one that we heard described. But we invite you to consider a harm more fundamental. A person in custody has seen their world shrink down to the size of their cell. The things that they cherish may seem small to those of us here, but we all understand that for someone confined in a cell, the anticipation of the next book in a series, like Harry Potter, can't be overstated. And when you've been allowed to read books 1 and 2, but not book 3, it seems arbitrary. We've found that what the department deems to be impermissible on any given day varies not only from facility to facility, but from morning to afternoon, an arbitrariness that reflects staff's lack of training and improper exercise of discretion. The department's inability to correct these abuses reflects the same failings that the board finds in its report on deaths in custody. In the case of the person waiting for book 3 in the Harry Potter series, the good news is the same as the bad. They were able to read book 3 because someone else in their housing unit had it, because it is not an impermissible item. We thank the board for its repeated recommendations around training, supervision, and accountability in its recent report, and urge the department to implement those recommendations broadly in order to improve every other aspect of its work on Rikers Island. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi. My name is Natalie Fiorenzo. I'm a senior corrections specialist at New York County Defender Services. Thank you again for a robust agenda today, particularly regarding your recommendations from the prior death report. It's very easy to leave things behind in the endless stream of mismanagement and danger that is Rikers Island. So it is critically important to highlight past events to ensure that DOC has not swept them under the rug and to ensure that those deaths are not forgotten and hopefully not repeated. Also on the agenda today is the department's innavigable package policies. I will spend my time today sharing just a few of my personal experiences with the mailing process over the last few years. I will also let you know that my testimony is slightly long, but we're running ahead of schedule, so hopefully you allow it. On January 25th, 2023, Louis Molina testified to the following at a city council hearing. This year, we have added chest binders to the list of available items so that trans men and gender non-binary individuals can appear more traditionally masculine if they choose. In the July 2023 meeting of the TGN-CNBI task force, our DOC representative stated that the packages directive was changed to include binders as undergarments, making them accessible in the same way. Yet today, well over 2 years later, the packages directive on DOC's website is still from 2016, and it does not mention binders at all. In practice, I received a message recently from a colleague explaining that binders are actually only limited to 1 per person, despite the fact that up to 4 undergarments are allowed. Sneakers. The sneakers that are issued by DOC are easily worn through and offer very little support. So this is one of the most common items that our clients request from us to send them. We usually send white or black ones. In the past, if those colors were not available in a permissible shoe style, we've tried sending a pair that is both black and white. But these shoes never reached our clients. We were told by the mailroom that only white or black shoes were allowed, not both. It seemed ridiculous, but we would rather our clients get what we actually send them, so we send either white or black or nothing if there's nothing in stock. In preparing for this testimony, I was reviewing DOC's permissible items list more closely, and I actually discovered that permissible colors for footwear are black, white, gray, or any combination of the 3. Next, I'd like to tell you a story about a pair of sweatpants that took 90 days to get to our client at Rose M. Singer Center. We sent the initial pair of sweatpants in a permissible color with no pockets. The client told us 3 weeks later, no sweatpants. I was able to finally get in touch with the mailroom a week later and was told, we'll send them back to you. I wasn't told why they weren't allowed though. We kept an eye on our own mailroom for 2 weeks, nothing was sent back, so I decided to send the sweatpants a second time. 1 week after that, a refund was issued from Amazon, no explanation. I called the mailroom the following day and was told it actually has to be pajama pants. Sweatpants are outside clothes, and they are not allowed. Despite the fact that the outside clothes policy is available nowhere, I sent pajama pants that same day, now trying for the 3rd time. A week later, they were refunded on Amazon, and I could not get in touch with the mailroom. More than 3 weeks later, after I finally got in touch with them, I was told it was refunded because no one was here when the delivery came. I reordered the pants again, now for the 4th time, And I think you'll all be relieved to hear that I can finish talking about these pants because the inside pants were in my client's hands 2 weeks after that, after 90 days of waiting for something she desperately needed to keep her warm. Getting packages to Rosie's specifically has been an issue for some time, and I have reached out to the legal department about it, but never heard back. A few months after the pants incident, I had another issue with a package getting to a Rosie's client. This one took 60 days to arrive. I won't bore you with all the details of the multiple attempts, but in my conversations with that mail officer, I was told things such as stop using Amazon Prime, write Rikers Island on the package because the delivery people don't know where to go. And I was also told by my client that the mail officer told her, tell her, me, to stop calling me. I'll never give you a package again if she calls me again.
If you can.
This is the end. I'm so sorry. The PIC handbook, permissible items, and package directives all vary. Beyond that, what individual officers do at individual facilities varies. How are those of us sending mail to vulnerable clients and loved ones supposed to keep track of exactly how these lifeline packages can actually make it to the intended recipient? This cannot go on. The current system leaves senders draining their bank accounts and recipients out in the cold. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Vivian Dominguez, followed by Aubrey Aguanaga. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
Can you hear me well? Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. My name is Vivian Dominguez, and I stand here today not only as a grieving sister, but as a voice for my brother, Franklin Dominguez, one of the many lives lost in solitary confinement in our state prisons during the illegal strike by correctional officers. During that strike, my brother was neglected. There was weeks without hearing his voice, months without getting packages to him, going above and beyond to get through old friendships in high school to see if my brother was alive in prison. During the strike, my brother was neglected. That neglect cost him his life. He was just 35 years young, healthy, and full of potential, and yet he was found dead in his cell. To this day, my family has received no real answers, no accountability, or no justice. But my brother was so much more than what happened to him. Because, see, I have to speak a little personal about him because people look down on people like my brother. Okay? But what they don't know was, before his prison sentence, my brother was a professional runner, a true athlete who had won over 200 races, coming often in first place. He loved the feeling of freedom that came with running, the same freedom that was taken from him behind those walls. He was also funny, with a smile that could light up a room. But let me be very clear here today. What happened to my brother was not an accident. It was a systematic failure. It was the result of years of corruption, neglect, and indifferences towards people in custody. The system that's supposed to protect human rights instead turned their backs on them. My brother struggled with mental illness and substance abuse, and instead of treatment, he was thrown into a cell. Prison was not the answer for him. What he needed was help, not handcuffs. Rehabilitation, not incarceration. Compassion, not cruelty. And it's so funny because I heard somebody say that that's in their little policy. But that's hard to believe. How many more lives must be lost before changes come? How many families must bury their loved ones while the system hides behind excuses and paperwork? This city and state cannot claim to value justice while allowing people to die in its custody. We cannot talk about rehabilitation while treating human beings as disposable. I'm here to say that enough is enough. My brother isn't here today, but I am. I will keep fighting for him, justice for Franklin Dominguez. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aubrey Aginaga, and I work with the Prisoners' Rights Project at the Bronx Defenders. I would like to thank the board for adding the packages policy to the agenda for today. One of the ways in which our office supports our incarcerated clients is by sending them packages. Those packages generally consist of clothes, shoes, and reading materials. Our office makes sure that the items we send are permissible pursuant to DOC policy. However, there have been countless times over the past few years where clients have told us that they did not receive the items we sent or only received some of the items that we sent. In almost every single case, our clients were not notified why they were not allowed to receive these items. Similarly, when we reached out to the mailroom or the facility, we were not given any information about why the items were considered impermissible. It is usually clear from conversations with officers that they either have no idea themselves or have little to no interest in helping us determine what the issue actually was. We are simply told that the items were deemed impermissible without any sort of explanation. Per the DOC's directive, when a person in custody receives items that are impermissible, the person in custody is supposed to be presented with a form putting them on notice of the items that they are not allowed to receive. This form is to be signed by the person in custody, and then, most importantly, the person in custody gets to decide what should happen to these items: return to sender, donate these items, or destroy these items. In all the years that the Prisoners' Rights Practice has been sending packages to our clients, we have only ever had one client say that this procedure was followed. Relatedly, the packages are not returned to our office. Our office has spent thousands of dollars on items that never reach our clients and never get returned to the sender. While we are a large nonprofit organization with funds that are allocated to support our clients during their incarceration, it is outrageous that the Department of Corrections simply gets to do as they wish with these items, with no regard for the money and effort expended by legal organizations and advocates. This is equally true for the families of our clients. They constantly complain that items they send are not going to their loved ones, and yet they never receive the items back. There is no follow-up by DOC to determine why the items were deemed impermissible, and thus, there is no recourse for the families who spend their hard-earned money to support their loved ones while incarcerated. Families are left feeling frustrated, angry, and helpless. And to be clear, we are not talking about arbitrary non-essential items here. We're talking about items that are meant to meet the needs of clients during the freezing cold months when the housing areas are not properly heated, or in the summer when the temperatures in the facilities are unbearable. Items that help our clients maintain basic levels of hygiene when laundry services are delayed so that they can feel human and look presentable during court or during family visits. Items that ensure our clients stay mentally occupied when programming is scarce and lockdowns are unreasonably extended. So if our clients are not being given the opportunity to decide what happened to an impermissible item, and our offices and families of people in custody aren't receiving these items back, what is DOC doing with these items? Why is it that DOC has been allowed to unilaterally decide what happens to these items, completely unchecked and in violation of their own policy? This is an issue that needs to be taken seriously by the board, and we appreciate you listening today. Lastly, I would like to address the sick call. One of the problems that we continue to hear from clients is a lack of meaningful access to the sick call. While people in custody have the ability to request to be added to the production list pretty much any time of the day or week, actually getting produced and seen continues to be a nightmare for most clients. This seems to be the consensus across all facilities.
Excuse me, if you could begin to finish up, please.
Yes, of course. This seems to be a consensus across all facilities with maybe the exception of West Facility or NIC. Additionally, the process of accessing sick call is further frustrated by the fact that the phone call is usually cut off before clients are actually able to properly communicate their needs to medical personnel. Multiple clients in various facilities have reported grave sick call issues. They call the sick call, they'll wait on hold for 15 minutes, and they'll get disconnected. The cycle repeats itself until clients give up, leading to the medical issues persisting, remaining untreated, and most importantly, unrecorded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Nori Perez, followed by Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips.
Good afternoon. My name is Nori Perez, and I stand here as a sister and a witness to a deep injustice. My brother, Franklin Dominguez, died in the custody of the DLC during an illegal work stoppage by correctional officers in February 2025. While officers walked off the job in protest of the halt solitary law, abandoning their posts, abandoning human lives, 7 people, including my brother, died under their watch. Since that day, my family has lived with silence, no answers, just grief, heavy, relentless, and unanswered. But our silence ends here. When DLC imprisons someone, it takes full responsibility for their life. That responsibility doesn't disappear because someone is poor or struggling or incarcerated. A prison sentence is not a death sentence. You cannot rehabilitate by beating, starving, or isolating people. You cannot correct by keeping someone in solitary confinement far beyond what the law allows. You cannot restore by denying medication, restricting communication, or stripping someone of their dignity. That is not rehabilitation. That is cruelty, and it is happening right now behind New York's jails and prison walls. This is not an accident. It is a humanitarian crisis, one created by a system more invested in punishment than in justice, more comfortable with silence than with accountability. Franklin was supposed to go before the parole board this August. He was supposed to come home last month. Instead, my family was told by a chaplain that he had died with no explanation, no transparency, no humanity, only the language of indifference. As long as the DOC controls the narrative, the public will never truly understand what happens inside those walls or what families like mine endure while we fight for the truth. But we are here to reclaim that truth. We will not let the DLC write our loved ones out of existence. We will not allow their deaths to be dismissed as collateral damage. We will not be quiet. Franklin's life mattered. The lives of the 6 others who perished also mattered. And until there is truth, transparency, and accountability, we will keep saying their names, telling their stories, and demanding change. Because justice, real justice, begins with remembering the humanity of those the system tried to erase. Thank you.
Thank you. Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips. And this is the last in-person comment, then we'll move on to the people who are online.
Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm Chaplain Dr. Victoria A. Phillips, and today I stand before you with a heart that's very heavy. You know, it's the end of the year, and I'm excited that you released a report while everyone was in, well, I was in Somos. I'm excited that you released a report, but I'm disheartened because it didn't have all the names it was supposed to have in it. If this board releases a report after every 5 deaths, I believe you owe us another one for the year. There was 12 deaths this year. You only talked about 5. And I want to put that on the record because this is the oversight board. Where's your accountability for yourselves? As the Jails Action Coalition, we started in December 2011 because of the barbaric conditions on Rikers Island. And we've been coming to these meetings ever since. We've been rallying ever since. And as a reverend, as a chaplain, as a spiritualist, I often am the one who reaches out to the families who lose a loved one in New York City Department of Corrections. And I just want to highlight how exhausting it is to have to repeat to family members, I'm so sorry for your loss, when all lives could have been preserved in Rikers Island. New York does not have the death penalty, yet we continue to allow people to die as if it doesn't even matter. It breaks my soul to see so many people that resemble me on domestic soil in positions of authority who often fall short of holding this department accountable. I've spoken on this record, for over a decade regarding sick call. I've given numbers, I've dropped names, I've literally given you the tools to investigate the way you're supposed to. I've even told you to request medical directors from each facility have to come here and answer questions, and yet you have failed to do any of these things. You often fail to even respond in an adequate time when I give you direct truth on what's going on the island. I'm gonna need y'all all to step up. I'm gonna need you all to actually be the leaders that you say you are in your everyday profession that brought you to this board, because you're definitely not showing that. And I'm gonna need for you to understand with this new incoming administration, if you continue to fall short, I will do everything in my power to organize against each and every one of you to have you removed from your seat. Remember, lives are important. Whether they carry a badge or not, everybody's worthy of minimum standards and basic human rights. Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Our first speaker online is Kayla Simpson, followed by Danielle Gerard.
Kayla, you're good. Can you hear us? You're good. Oh, she'll mute it. Oh, got it. Give me 1 second, Kayla. You should be able to, but I'll do it.
There we
True.
go.
There we go.
Can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah.
Great. Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Simpson. I'm an attorney with the Prisoners' Rights Project at the Legal Aid Society. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And my comments today are intended to supplement a letter that we sent this morning with more expanded materials. You know, as counsel for the plaintiff class in Nunez, we just always want to ensure that the board has relevant information for the issues identified in your recommendations in the death report, for example. Because many of these materials are critical to understand and test claims DOC frequently makes to you. Touring is an excellent example. And you've made recommendations to improve touring for years. DOC has been ordered by the Nunez court to improve touring for years. They have not done it. Today and last meeting, DOC told you about the Tour One system. They assured you that the department monitors touring practices at the highest levels of the agency and issues progressive discipline where appropriate. And they told you that supervisors are key. They're in the unit to correct problems. But it is well documented that those methods are not working. Thousands of pages of Nunez monitors reports over multiple years reveal that, number one, Tour Ones have not solved the problem, and more importantly, DOC knows it. In fact, DOC's own internal security audits are, to quote the monitor, replete with examples of staff who were off post and thus could not tour, who failed to tour, and who tapped the sensor with the Tour One but took no action to verify the individual's safety inside of cells, end quote. Two, DOC does not meaningfully use the Tour One data they have. The monitor tells us that they don't have a reliable system for doing that, and they have not for years. And when DOC tells you that the senior deputy commissioner's office manages that monitoring, that's true. But what they don't say is that the people in that office in charge of doing so over the years have changed so many times that the monitor said that the leadership has been deficient. 3, DOC told you last meeting that they discipline failures to tour when appropriate. That's not true. Again, the monitor has repeatedly said that DOC's discipline for touring failures is not commensurate with how frequently those failures occur and the harm that comes from them. And we need look no further than your deaths reports to see that. We couldn't agree more, number 4, that there is no substitute for supervisors who are capable and present in the housing units. But again, the monitor has observed for years that DOC does not have enough supervisors and that the ones that they have lack basic competencies. DOC is in contempt, actually, for failures to improve the number and quality of supervisors. And they are also in contempt of court orders to improve touring. And not only is this an agency in contempt of Court and Nunez, it's an agency that fails to implement your recommendations in death report after death report after death report. What an intolerable drumbeat. The board cannot accept these answers from DOC. The board must probe deeper. Scratching the surface of any of these purported solutions reveals that they have not been solutions at all because policies are not practice. The only way that board recommendations have value, in fact, the only way that these meetings have value, is if they go deeper than policies. DOC policies did not save any of those people whose deaths you faithfully investigated. And we deeply appreciate your reports. I mean that. And we deeply appreciate the efforts of board staff. But they can't be the end of the story. Your recommendations have to matter. Court orders have to matter. And what can we do differently? Well, we won't do anything differently if no one is held accountable for this status quo. We all must do that work better. I include myself in that. And we continue to welcome discussions with the board about how to be more accountable to one another and to people in custody. And we sincerely appreciate the time today. We hope that when you demand answers from DOC, that you do so publicly, because there is no substitute for public meetings and public reporting in terms of accountability. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have, Tashoy Miller, and that's the final speaker.
All right, Tashoy, you're good to go. Yeah. You can unmute. Tashoy, please.
Okay, my
unmute.
camera is starting. Give me 1 second.
We see you.
Okay.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Tashoy Miller, and I serve as the Director of Admin and Member Affairs at the Women's Community Justice Association, an organization that advocates with and on behalf of women and gender-expansive people impacted by mass incarceration and other systems. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Beyond Rosie's campaign. Every day, people with serious mental health conditions are being criminalized instead of cared for. They're being funneled into a system that was never built to heal them, only to punish and break them. New York City jails have become one of the largest psychiatric institutions in the country. As of 2025, half of all people in custody have a diagnosed mental health condition, and 21% live with a serious mental illness, more than double the rate from a decade ago. This crisis is especially pronounced at Rikers Island, where roughly 1 in every 2 detainees is receiving some form of mental health treatment. When people with serious mental health needs end up on Rikers, they are not met with care, but with neglect. According to New York City Comptroller's Office, missed medical appointments inside city jails rose by 21%, from 9,259 in August 2022 to 11,176 in June 2023. Each missed appointment represents someone's pain untreated, someone's symptoms ignored, and someone's life at risk. We have seen the devastating consequences of this neglect. Charisma Jones is one of the many who died at Rikers as a direct result of medical neglect and the active refusal of treatment. Her death was not an anomaly. It was the predictable outcome of a system that criminalizes people for being unwell and then denies them the care they need to survive. Charisma's life could have been saved through diversion into a mental health program instead of incarceration. Contrast this with the case of Asa Diawara. The young woman who made headlines after leaving her newborn baby in a subway station. Asa never made it to Rikers Island. She was diverted into a problem-solving alternative court program. That diversion gave her a chance to receive treatment, stability, and hope. It was the right intervention at the right time. So I ask, what make Asa's case different from the hundreds of men and women sitting on Rikers Island today, whose charges are directly linked to untreated mental health conditions? Why do some get care while others are left to deteriorate behind bars? Diversion works. Treatment works. Jail does not. The data, the human stories, and the deaths all tell us the same thing. Rikers is not a place for healing. It is not a treatment facility. It is a place of trauma, deterioration, and preventable death. We have the means to change this. We can invest in community-based treatment, trauma-informed care, and alternatives to incarceration that prioritize recovery over punishment. We can stop cycling people with mental illness through Rikers and start building systems that truly promote safety through healing. I urge this board to use its power to hold the Department of Corrections accountable. Every day we delay, more lives are lost. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who attended and participated in today's meeting. The board will communicate the meeting dates and times for 2026 in the coming days. At this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Is there the motion? Is there a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Without hearing any objection, the meeting is now adjourned.